Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. Now, thousands of supporters yesterday thronged Government House, Port Harcourt, to welcome the reinstated River State Governor, Siminalayi Fubara, went home disappointed after he failed to appear. Mr. Fubara was scheduled to resume duties as Governor of River State on Thursday, following the end of the 6 months emergency rule imposed on the state by President Bola Tinubu on March the 18th. Our correspondent Uche Okoro has a story.
Thousands of supporters gathered as early as 6 a.m., eagerly awaiting Governor Siminalayi Fubara's return after a 6-month suspension. The crowd marched, sang and danced in celebration. Government officials praised President Bola Tinubu, saying the restoration of democratic governance reflects the people's will.
Rivers people are very, very happy having seen the Mr. President returning the democratic elected governor, the man we voted for, into office. You can see the Rivers people, they are very happy. This is to tell you the general acceptance of our people to the governor.
The president called off the state of emergency, releasing democratic government back to Rivers people. And we are happy. We are telling the president thank you. And we're happy for our governor. That's why we are here to celebrate him and to receive him, that he'll be coming back to take the mantle and the mandate that Rivers people gave to him.
Officials expressed optimism that lasting peace has returned to Rivers State. Although Governor Fubara's expected arrival did not materialize, there is confidence that once he resumes office, both camps will work together for the state's benefit.
The governor is not a desperate person. He has never been a part of any trouble. He's always been interested in how the state and development and how the common people get access to education.
There is peace in Rivers State, and with the body of the governor, the body language of the governor, who has at different fora said that there is nothing too big to sacrifice for the peace of Rivers State. He has already shown steps, and we believe that the peace of Rivers State has finally been restored between our governor and the FCT minister, who is also the leader of Rivers State.
Despite Governor Fubara's absence, the crowd intends to sustain this welcome rally until he is back to resume his official duties. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
Meanwhile, the House of Assembly hits the ground running, resumed plenary after the state of emergency, promising to work in harmony with Governor Siminalayi Fubara. In this report, the lawmakers reconvened at the Assembly Residential Complex, signifying the start of a new chapter in the state's governance. Our correspondent Uche has more.
Just 24 hours after the legislature's last sitting on March 17, President Bola Tinubu imposed emergency rule on Rivers State, suspending legislative activities for 6 months. With the restoration of democratic governance, lawmakers have swiftly returned to work. Reflecting on the challenges of the past, they resolved to maintain peace and cooperate with Governor Siminalayi Fubara upon his resumption of office.
We wish to respectfully pray this August House to do resolve as follows. 1, Mr. Speaker, commend the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for restoring democratic institutions in the state. 2, declare that the House will continue to abide by all terms of the peace.
Lawmakers unanimously backed the motion calling on the governor to draft an appropriation law for the remainder of the year.
If the governor does not prepare immediately for us, because we cannot work without an appropriation, and whatever has happened in the past or happened before, we are not part of it, not even the governor. And so this assembly needs to quickly have a document to work with. We need a document to work with. So an appropriation law, appropriation bill needs to come quickly from the executive.
The House has also resolved to investigate the use of state funds over the past 6 months, focusing on contract awards and other expenditures.
There is need to ascertain how contracts were awarded by the outgoing administrator and how much was spent what funds were received. Yes, all that transpired happened under emergency rule. But funds spent, funds belonging to River State. And it is the 10th Assembly of River State that has the constitutional mandate to know or decide what happens going forward.
Following a unanimous voice vote in support of the motion, the House adjourned its sitting until September 22nd, 2025. Uche Okoro, TVC News, Port Harcourt.
Development. Let's talk this through by speaking with a lawyer and politician, Barrister Olufemi Aina, and of course, Abiodun Shomi will also be providing some insight into this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. And then we could see the reports as they were being, sent by our correspondents from River State. We know that River State has actually returned to democratic, rule, which returned to democracy yesterday. Ended by suspense yesterday by people who were expecting Governor Fubara, who failed to resume office following the emergency, uplift by the president, and then the jubilants were actually disillusioned. Yes, we understand he was in town, but his failure to resume office, do you not feel that it has an implication, or what implication does it have on restoration of democratic order to the state?
I don't think, honestly speaking, I can't foresee that, because is it not possible for him to work from home? That's one question. Since COVID,
it's not a pandemic.
No, I appreciate that, but we are all being encouraged to work from home. Yes, and that's not impossible. Maybe he just doesn't want to be part of the pomp and the pageantry that we are welcoming him back, that look, I have issues. Or there might still be some outstanding issues which has to be dealt with, although that doesn't cut ties with me, because they've had the last 6 months to resolve all issues. But moving forward, one thing that is certain is either the governor is in River State, or is in Abuja, or in the alternative is on his way to River State, one way or the other. But the main issue which we need to focus on is how do we move forward from now on? And the question remains this: even before March, River State has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. But now we are getting the positive reasons. Well, if assuming I'm the governor, I would like the headline today to be, yes, I've learned some lessons. I'm ready to move the state forward. Rather than this, where is Fubara? Why has the delay is returned? No, I do understand, but I won't want such a headline. The first day in office, I just need to address the people and let them know that I'm ready. I've learned some of my lessons and I want to move forward. I want to put the past behind me and then turn a new leaf. That's what you will expect. But whatever the case, let's even leave that aside. You see, whether this is a permanent or temporary truce is something which I'm very, very concerned about. You see, and one thing we need to know is this: political bickering is a threat to democracy. I'm not saying politicians should not argue for and against. That is the nature of democracy. But if this unhealthy bickering just continue, there is a question, when is it going to stop? And they've started already, because the House is now saying, you give us the list of your commissioner. Come to us with the appropriation bill for the remaining part of the year. Then we are going to probe the sole administrator. You see, these are the issues that has been dividing them all along. If it's me, the issue about commissioner, just put that aside for now. Fubara can still work for a while without commissioner. After all, when President Buhari resumed office some years back, the late President Buhari, I think it was without minister for almost 6 months. You understand me? Yes. So leave that, because by the time they come up with this list now, then the hue and cry is going to start again. And there is another thing which I'm very concerned, because I'm curious about this demand. If I'm to be appointed as a minister today, the first starting point is to go to my legislator and say, look, I'm due to appear before the House. Right. Can you help lobby them and talk to them? And if care is not taken, things are going to happen.
In fact, people say that is what Fubara was doing in Abuja. And that's why he didn't show up in Port Harcourt yesterday. Earlier on, you were saying that he didn't want to be carried away. You know, he had, you know, with all, just look at the crowd. And the crowd, according to the report, says they will keep dancing until he shows up.
Unfortunately,
so he cannot
dance.
He cannot avoid them. You know, that aside, what really, the question I really want to ask you is, do you think it's wise that probing Iba's 6 months as sole administrator is the first thing that the House of Assembly will want to do?
Oh, look, honestly speaking, on the issue of his not turning up, it's about his personal construct psychology. If you understand personal construct psychology, you'll understand how he has been presenting himself and what is likely his disposition will be in that situation.
Yes.
Even some people do say he's a bit shy, those who are close to him. So I think that will put that to rest. Let's see what happens today and tomorrow. Specifically on your question, there are 3 issues. You can see the House, I probably would disagree with the perception that the issues raised, 3 issues raised by the Rivers State House of Assembly would end up becoming divisive. I probably would disagree with that. The reason being very clear, they raised 3 clear issues, which is 1, present a list of your commissioner, 2, the issue of budget, without any ultimatum. If you remember in the past, they would say within 48 hours, you must do this, you must do that.
Yes,
there's nothing like that in this. So they're only encouraging the governor, in view of the decision of the Supreme Court, February 28, 2025, Supreme Court judgment, saying that, look, the budget was invalidly spent and illegally spent and unappropriated for. So they're saying, okay, let us do the research, present this, we will look at it. Present the list of your commissioner, we will also look at it. On the issue of probe of IBAs, I don't think whatever they're trying to do is out of line. There's a limit to what you can do. I will tell you why. There's a proclamation, there's a gazette, which stated clearly the powers and the remits of the authority of the administrator. There is nothing wrong in the House of Assembly in the quest of carrying out its oversight functions to know specifically what are the projects executed with Rivers State resources appropriated for by the House of Reps, because IBAS produced a budget and presented it to the House of Reps. And I did watch that proceeding.
Yes.
Now, in that situation, the House of Assembly has a right, Rivers State House of Assembly, to say, look, let us look at how the money has been spent. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just carrying out with the normal legislative functions. Don't forget that some people will try and present it one way or the other. Exactly. Is it really a probe? What is a probe? Is to look at what is wrong in people looking at what you have done, if you have done it correctly. But I don't think it's a witch hunt. I think they're only trying to ascertain what has been done, what has not been done. And don't forget, they're presenting a new budget to them. They need to know, do they need to appropriate more money or increase money, or this has been completed? They need to know what has happened in the state in the last 6 months.
Against the question that he asked, talking about the Rivers State House of Assembly saying that they want to probe, using the word probe. Because who would they be probing really? Assuming there are some incongruity in what the sole administrator had done. Is that not in effect probing the president's decision and of course the National Assembly that backed the president's imposition of emergency rule in Rivers State?
No, I don't think that. You see, without getting into semantics, maybe they are just using that word probe in invited comma. Because constitutional, if you go by the constitution, they have this oversight function. And there is nothing wrong. They are the people representative asking questions on our behalf. And there's one thing which you must have at the back of your mind. When the sole administrator was appointed, he himself knew that this is an imperfect task. And the duty of accountability has no end. Somebody is going to ask questions at a particular point in time. Somebody is going to call you and say, look, come and give account of this. But if it's me, what I'm saying in this case, we need to be very careful about all these knee-jerk reactions, and we need to be very careful of taking hasty decisions. Number one, there has been a handling over note prepared by the sole administrator. When you need to go through that, then you can invite him and you can ask questions. And that's the right way to go, because that will be a lesson for the future. That, look, if you are appointed, if there was whether there's a proclamation or this or that, somebody is still going to carry out an oversight function so that you give account. So that's the right way to go. Now, on the other issues, you see, if you go to River State, even it's not River State alone, there are a lot of issues to be dealt with. And it goes beyond to bring the list of commissioners. I know there's no time limit, and I agree with Mr. Jomi when he said that, well, it's not unlike before where they said 48 hours, this and that. But that list, no doubt, is still going to cause division. Yeah. Because you can see the media saying Fubara camp, Wike camp. Now, how do you harmonize the two camps? So, and this governor, you see, he still needs to know what happened in the last 6 months. You need to give him time to look at the book, look at what has been done, and then, you know, there are some decisions taken by the sole administrator, which I'm even curious about. Head of service being appointed by midnight, according to what they are saying, the new head of service. Well, the governor, when he comes in, he will need to look at all these things and say, okay, this is the way forward. And one thing is this, we need to also be very careful so that the governor doesn't get bogged down with unnecessary things, because this issue has no end. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen in future. Governor Fubara assumed office May 2023. By October 2023, there was an attempt to impeach him. By December 2023, there was a peace parley. Few weeks after, you know, everybody said, no, we are not going to abide by that. Now, by May 2027, he will need to leave office. I mean, his tenure will come to an end. Some people, you know, Nigerians have this creative way of thinking. They are still going to court and say, look, his tenure cannot come to an end. That you should give him another 6 months extension. And that matter will need to go to court, and there will be hue and cry. You see, because that's the nature of our country. That's the way we want that. No, his tenure cannot end on that. But let's leave that to the future time. Because but that possibility is still there. But what is there now is this. You see, Fubara must be on a mission. That, look, whatever happens, I'm the governor of this state. Whatever happens, I want history to have something to say about me. Give something positive too, not this crisis. Right. And he said, even during one of the church services, he said, well, he thank God for this and that and what. I hope he will embrace that. And if you listen to the speech by the outgoing sole administrator, even I don't know whether it's a speech or sermon, because God this, God that, the River State must not lose the fragrance. And so the man must have seen that something is missing. And I've said this before, if you have power, you have to be humble. All these political agitators, they need to know that public interest supersede their personal interest.
All right, Mr. Shomi, the minister for the FCT minister had reasons to publicly say that he will not meddle with appointments in River State now that Fubara has been reinstated. How do you react to that?
Well, I think I have no reason to doubt what he said, because a lot of issues have been resolved behind the scene. Till today, very few people actually know what are the real reasons that led to that conflict. And a lot of issues must have been resolved. The issue of those who supported you in the process of election now being dropped for some other mundane or unacceptable reasons, you know, would have been addressed behind the scenes. So there will be no reason for Wike, you know, to now come and say, look, I don't want this, I don't want that. Number two, we should not forget that just like in any other state, it happened even in some other state, in the Southwest here, where you see the House of Assembly kicking against, you know, the nominees, you know, the list of nominees, and asking the governor to go and address some issues.
Yeah, you know why the question is pertinent is because before the state of emergency, one of these things being peddled around is that Wike appointed everybody, including the governor's personal staff.
And the governor himself.
The governor himself. So, if there's any iota of truth in that, Don't you see it repeating itself?
Well, that time, don't forget, agreement now. Agreement. That was what they agreed before the election.
Yes.
We all knew how Fubara himself emerged, you know, as the candidate. So let us leave that. But post that, there has been conflict, discussions have taken place, resolutions have been reached, and I'm sure one way or the other, they are members of the same party, no matter what we think. Wike and Fubara are members of PDP till today. So it should have been the internal affairs of PDP to start with, to sort out all this problem. It's the failure to sort it out that led to the president getting involved, other actors getting involved, you know, because they failed to solve the problem. Now, that's the stakeholders in PDP leadership. Now, we are at this stage now. Whoever has been appointed or will be appointed will be members of the same family, the same PDP. That they've all been friends. They've always been working together. Even before under Amechi, many of them, they are not new to each other. So whoever is appointed will actually come from within that same family.
Absolutely.
In my view.
Well, you are saying that the governor and then the quote-unquote, the godfather, they are members of PDP.
They are the same. They've always been together.
But now, the local government chairman, they are more APC members, you know, as against the number of PDP there. But I don't want us to open another conversation. Because of our time. Because of our time. I'm now wondering how sacrosanct is democratic governance, especially in this case of Rivers State, where democracy could not resolve the impasse that happened, you know, in Rivers State, you know, normally using the Constitution, that the Constitution itself had to be suspended, and then something, you know, semblance of a military sort of, like a fiat, saying there has to be an emergency rule before we had sanity return to Rivers State. So does this not put to question democracy itself and its effect?
Well, you see, I don't think there is an issue. It's just the gladiators, they are making a mountain out of a molehill because they don't want to embrace that word called compromise. And also, people need to be sincere with their words. Now, the major political agitators is Fubara and Wike, if you look at it on the flip side. And by extension, the House of Assembly members, because some of them were loyal to this and that. But the issue is this: politicians need to try as much as possible to be sincere with their words. If Wike is now telling us that, look, I don't have any issue with the governor. I'm ready as the governor of the state. Now, whatever, I can nominate people to do this, to do that. Well, time will tell whether that's going to happen. But I will expect him to be sincere with that promise and work in partnership with the governor. Because if you look at it, come hell or high water, Fubara is the governor of that state. Yes. It's not, you see, if you are a leader, it's not all your decision that will please people. Otherwise, they will just be pushing you around. Yes. And you must take some decisions, and you will know that for every action, there should be a reaction. And the most important in all this is this, okay? The president intervened. He exercised his constitutional power, but now he said, look, let's give you a second bite of the cherry. Go back, restore the democratic institution, and see whether you people can work together. Look, the future of Rivers State is in the hand of all these political gladiators now. They have to find a way to reach compromise on all the issues that has been causing division. We can't do it for them. The only thing we can do is that in 2027, we are not going to vote for them. So, but the point is this: where there's a conflict between your personal interest and the public interest, the public interest supersedes your personal interest. So they need to put that their personal interest, whether this person should be appointed, and think about the Rivers people. Because you see, the level of depravity in some of these states is not something to write about. People are hungry. People are just, even those who are working, I've said it here, some of them are working poor because the money is not even enough. How do we enhance people's life? Look, children have just returned to school. There are still some parents who are still struggling as we speak. And then politicians are bickering. So we need to move forward so that we give people the dividends of democracy.
Absolutely. Moving forward is what is key to the Rivers State government and, of course, the Rivers people. Many thanks for your time. Barrister Olufemi Aina, lawyer, politician. Thank you so much for your keenness of insight. And I'll also say a special thanks to you for also providing, that understanding, some context to what has happened in River State. Biodun Shomi. We'll still definitely keep you in-house as we
Thank you for keeping me.
All right.